Good morning, everybody. This is StarFox64 Enjoyer. This is my third stream of all time. Today we'll be examining the situation in Hawaii. Situation meaning how they're living right now, specifically Hawaiians. A little bit about me. I'm having a really bad hair day today. I'm looking particularly bald. So as you can see, I'm wearing this lovely corduroy hat. I am having breakfast. I have Special K and my coffee and my heat activated Game Boy Color mug. You can't see because of the glare, but it says, "Oh, Daisy." So it's a bit of a knockoff, I guess. But anyway, we'll be getting into that today. Um, let's see. So I work in the movie theater. Yesterday it was very awful. Allegedly, it's the worst, well, the best day we've had in 2 years in terms of customers. Everyone was just on one though for having an extra day off in the week. It was a little shocking to see. Um, yeah, enough about me. Let's get into the video. Have to make sure which one it actually is. Thought it was really interesting with the Hassan ban recently. It was really kind of like a whale fall moment, you know? I saw all these other smaller channels all of a sudden get all these viewers. Everyone made a lot of friends, and it's just kind of funny to see. And then now that he's back, you know, it's back to normal. People are within their normal streaming hours again. Let's see. I found it. Great news. So, the reason I thought about streaming this particular topic was, of course, the Lilo and Stitch movie that came out recently. Um, Everyone was arguing online about whether or not it's an authentic representation of things going on in Hawaii. They had actual Hawaiians working on the movie. So I got into the thinking of, oh, I don't think a lot of people actually know what's going on with Hawaii. So let's take a look.
You're not gonna become a Hawaiian. If you're coming, then leave.
Go back to the mainland. We're afraid of you guys here. Bro, what do we even do? You're not from Maui.
Bro, we do white people, okay?
White people?
Like really expensive.
My baby sister had to move. Her and her family moved to Las Vegas to survive. Everybody getting priced out of paradise.
Yep, so I live here in California, Northern California, and there's a pretty big Hawaiian population up here. I even grew up with a couple families, Hawaiian families, that moved out here for the same reason. Just the cost of living become way too much, and it's so like heartbreaking to like force islanders off of their island due to pricing.
Every year, 15,000 plus native Hawaiians leave Hawaii to the mainland, which now has more Hawaiians than Hawaii itself. With the median house costing $1.1 million plus, the local Hawaiians are being priced out of paradise as millionaires buy second vacation homes, Airbnb entrepreneurs rent out their apartments to tourists, billionaires buy entire.
Can you imagine like how damaging it is to like buy land of an island? Like an island's already pretty small, doesn't have a whole lot of land. So for someone to own like multiple acres, insane. It's the same thing that's going on right now in South Africa with the alleged white genocide. What's happening is the government's passed a law basically to take back some of this land that's not being used by millionaires and billionaires for the use by the state or just people who will actually work the land.
entire islands, and mainlanders move to Hawaii, the locals are unable to afford the rapid increase in the cost of living, turning places like Waikiki, the symbol of Honolulu's bustling tourism, into a dumping ground for homeless Hawaiians. But with nearly 24% of Hawaii's economy reliant on tourism, are tourists even welcome in Hawaii anymore?
Don't come and don't buy land. Simple as that.
Hawaii is the #1 most expensive state in America, while ranking #4 in homelessness. How much longer will Hawaii have Hawaiians?
Has it gotten really expensive to live out here recently, or has it always been that way?
It's gotten really expensive.
Yeah? If you were to try to, I don't know, get a place right now, how much do you think that would cost for like a studio apartment? Oh my gosh.
Like really, really expensive.
Why you coming to talk to me? What?
Oh, I want to ask you,
I don't like shit. Nothing from you, man. I don't need nothing from you.
oh yeah, all right.
Go with your white people, okay?
White people? What did I do?
No, your people go talk with them. I don't need you.
Where are you from originally?
This is the most honest answer from a local that I've ever seen.
Originally from Ohio.
Okay.
Been here for 20 years.
Do you consider yourself local at this point?
Absolutely. All my grandbabies are local.
Do you feel welcome
Let me change my definition of local real quick there.
here? Or is there sort of contention?
No. We were welcomed. We were loved.
Can you explain the white people concept? That's like the haole? White people?
Because Hawaii needs visitors. Hawaii needs people to love the island like we do.
Where did you live on the mainland?
Lived in Michigan. Yeah.
So you came out here and the plan was to figure it out kind of when you got here?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we get swept everywhere. I just got swept again last Thursday. Took everything I owned, everything.
Do you have any current plans of getting off the streets? And
I'm
look,
working.
cop right there.
Yep. Yeah.
How long have you been out here, Sid?
20 years.
20 years.
When I had to quit my job, I gained my freedom. There's no more having to by anybody's rules. I can be out here, I can be free.
Yeah.
I've been camping ever since I was a kid. So for me, this is nothing but camping.
You might be surprised to notice how many people from the mainland are on these streets.
I mean, even as hard as it is out here, I still love it here.
Usually I work a little bit and everything like that, but then I just like to skate. Looking for that perfect.
No more taxes, no more BS, no more stress.
Yeah, dude, you know, I got a puppy, like I said, my friend freaking.
Yeah, so you can show me your crib tour. So you have that inflatable setup to
What's interesting about this is there's always this kind of phenomena of the homeless population in the United States going further and further west, right? So, like here in California, we have one of the largest homeless populations in the country, and the reason for that being is predominantly the weather is one key factor. It's one of the few places in the United States you can go to and not freeze to death in the winter months. And don't get me wrong, we have plenty of, really cold nights here in California as well. But it's a little bit easier to manage survival than it is, say, where, like New York, where it snows, or in the Midwest especially. You just have higher survivability. And on top of that, we actually have local, social programs. We do food banks. We do all kinds of stuff for our homeless population here. We do everything except give them housing and decriminalize being homeless. So we tend to receive the rest of everybody else's homeless population because they don't want to dedicate resources to them. They don't want to acknowledge their existence. So you'll even see police oftentimes in some of these states just ship off their populations further west.
lay your body out?
On that subject, on that note, Hawaii, about as far west as you can go. It stays incredibly warm all year round. You don't have to worry about freezing to death at night. And like you've seen here, the struggle is not as bad as it would be in the mainland for these people. So we're basically forcing all of our failed society, I'm not saying like the homeless people are failures or anything. I'm just saying we as a society have failed them, and we're just offloading them onto an indigenous population on an island somewhere.
Basically it.
That's it.
We need help. You say you got housing for the homeless? Yeah.
Where is it?
I have a friend of mine, her name is Angela, and she works every day. She works a graveyard shift at the airport, and she's homeless. There are people out here who got jobs, and they can't afford housing.
Aloha. All right, we're seeing tents strewn along every aspect of this beach. Tent after tent after tent. It's pretty unreal just how many people are out here. What's your name? Bob. Bob, good to meet you, Bob. How did you end up on the beach out here?
If you want to watch extended convos with guys like Bob, DLC content with Uncle you'll meet later in this video, exclusive videos
DLC
never uploaded to
content? What the
YouTube,
fuck?
and early access to every video of mine
You're
before
doing
it
DLC
goes up on
uninformative
YouTube,
videos
you
now?
can subscribe to my Patreon at patreon.com/Tyler Oliveira for as little as $5 a month. Help support our boots on the ground journalism and go watch the Hawaii DLC content after you finish watching this, and then stay tuned.
I was making pour over coffee this morning. One of our friends, a couple of our friends, gifted us a coffee pour over vase, like an hourglass kind of thing, you know, and makes the best coffee I've ever had. Holy shit. You know, when I was in EMT, I used to get Starbucks, BDS, by the way, but yeah, we would always get the pour overs because it would be all they'd have late at night or in the middle of the day. And I just thought it was kind of nasty, right? But using it with like your own coffee preference at home, like ground and everything, it's incredible. It's like super concentrated, really fulfills that coffee craving.
And watch the next video before anyone else sees it on YouTube at patreon.com/Tyler Oliveira.
I don't know, I just got here and I stayed here.
How is it living out here on the beach? Is it tough? Is it pretty easy with the
it.
weather?
I like it.
How'd you end up here on the beach?
Couldn't pay rent.
How much was your rent at the time?
At least 500
$500?
Studio, like shack really, up in Nanakuli, so.
A lot of people getting priced out of their homes out here?
Pretty much, yeah.
Do you have any family members or friends who have moved?
500 for housing over there? I'm sure he's been on the streets for a while, because from what I've seen in terms of figures, the price on housing has gone up like damn near 300%.
Moved to the mainland because it got too expensive out here?
Absolutely. So I'm one of 6 kids, and I am the only one currently living here in Hawaii.
Where do they go?
One went to Ohio,
Okay.
2's in Nevada, in Reno, one's in Washington, and one's kind of floating all over.
And they left.
It's so fucked up. I see this a lot with like displacement caused by the United States. My spouse is from Peru, so their family had to leave because there were no jobs anymore. A lot of the West and U.S. interest kind of disrupted all of their industries over there, and people had to up and leave.
Left for better job opportunities, better.
So now they just have like a handful of family members that are still living over there. But mostly everyone's moved out here at this point.
Wages.
For the most part, yeah.
The problem right now is that people who are purchasing second homes and Airbnb entrepreneurs are renting out these long-term housing units, turning them into short-term housing units, decreasing the available long-term housing supply, driving prices up, and making it nearly impossible for some of these locals to pay rent, much less own a home. But look at that view. Who wouldn't want to live here? This is paradise.
So I met up with lifetime Honolulu resident David to understand the culture of Hawaii a little more and the underlying tensions between Hawaiians, locals, and white people.
David, how long have you lived here in Hawaii?
25 years, born and raised.
Okay, but are you Hawaiian?
I'm not Hawaiian. I'm Italian, Filipino.
Would locals here consider you Hawaiian?
No, definitely not.
What does it mean to be a Hawaiian out here?
It means to have some semblance of Hawaiian blood.
Are the locals living here in Waikiki?
No, definitely not. It's majority tourists. There are some buildings here that people live in, but they're like multi-million-dollar building apartments, and maybe median or average price right now, last I checked maybe a year or two ago, was like 700 grand for a house on island, and that's nothing in this area. That's on the other parts of the island. Definitely not something that local people can afford.
We're headed to Kahala. This is the Beverly Hills of Honolulu. David, is that true? Who lives there?
Well, I think the most notable person who lives there is Kiaro Midyar. He's the founder of eBay.
Is there anything out here it's safe to say?
Definitely
over $1 million?
Definitely over $1 million. You're not gonna find anything less than that here. here.
So that's a nice little mansion right there. Little mansion right there. Cybertruck all the way out here.
I mean, lots of doctors, lawyers, accountants, financiers live out there. Like, it's not uncommon to see a Ferrari pull into a garage or a Bentley. One of my buddies lives in a tower, and he was telling me, you know, the building I used to live in, like 40% of it is unoccupied because a lot of the international investors buy up those properties and just leave it vacant.
So that's got to piss off a lot of locals out here who are getting.
Damn, that's what we're doing. That's what they're doing over here too. All these big hedge fund bros buying up all the properties in the United States. I wonder what they're doing that for.
Getting priced up into apartments they can barely afford.
Yeah, definitely. And they're building like little sustainable mobile homes and little encampments.
This is bougie out here, David. What is this?
Yes, sir. Kahala Hotel.
Okay.
There's dolphins around here for sure.
Dolphins? Look at him. There he is.
Nice.
And they like being in this little pond?
Yeah, you know, if they didn't, they would show us signs that they had lesser welfare. So
Like dolphin depression?
basically, yeah.
So you got like light eyes, light hair, you're white.
Yep.
How has that experience been out here? Is it pretty
dolphins
chill or is there a
bro.
friction?
Yeah, so I'm Holly. I stay in my lane. One of the reasons that it actually took me a while to decide to move out here was because I knew I was moving.
They
Yeah,
have
you know,
to
if
specify
they
that this girl is not a
didn't, they
native
would show us
Hawaiian.
signs that they had lesser welfare. So
Like dolphin depression?
basically, yeah.
So you got like light eyes, light hair, you're white. How has that experience been out here? Is it pretty chill or is there a friction?
Yeah, so I'm Holly.
Haole is a Hawaiian term for individuals who are not native Hawaiian and is applied to people primarily of European ancestry, the Gwailaos of
Stay
Hawaii.
in my lane. One of the reasons that it actually took me a while to decide to move out here was because I knew I was moving to an actively colonized landscape. So I do what I can to make sure that I am being respectful,
C-word.
that I am letting other people's voices be elevated above mine. If they're coming out to visit, come out and visit and do so responsibly. If you are just coming out here because you just want to have a party, maybe think about where you're going. Maybe go to Miami, you know?
All right, yeah, that's fair. Would it be fair to say this is a gentrified neighborhood out here? Do any locals live out here, do we think?
Definitely not. I mean, you might have some families that are like second generation and like the property was passed down to them, but...
And look at that view. It's gorgeous and breathtaking. Holy smokes.
And while it's no surprise people want to move here and have a taste of paradise for themselves, the hidden cost is many native Hawaiians are simply being priced out, forced to move to the mainland, or work 2 to 3 jobs to survive. So to curb the displacement of Hawaiians, in 1921, Congress passed the Hawaiian Homes Commissions Act, setting aside roughly 200,000 acres of land to homestead the native Hawaiians, allowing Hawaiians with 50% or more Hawaiian blood to be eligible to receive some of this land. What?
Oh my god, they put Hawaiians on a reservation.
Some Hawaiians say this is a Western concept that has no basis in any of their traditions or how they determine who is Hawaiian.
Like the whole blood quantum concept is a Western concept.
Got it.
Being Hawaiian is not only like a race classification, it's like, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like a holistic way of living where the people are connected to the land. And so it's...
Yeah, so, and that's the thing. White people, Americans, will use this concept to say, oh, I'm actually Hawaiian because I embody holistically the culture or whatever.
In a way, it's like they're kind of stewards of the land, but my uncle who lives in Maui, he's a descendant of Hawaiian royalty, and he's got stories about how his auntie would teach him, like, if you see the waves that are crashing at this angle and hitting the cliffs this way, that means you're gonna be able to find mangoes in this part of the forest. It's like being able to read nature and being one with nature.
So we pulled up on David's homie Jamin, who is a local light.
I feel like Europe also kind of had their equivalent of that. Communing with nature, kind of shamanistic practices. And then the Romans just genocided all of them.
David, but has Hawaiian blood unlike David. What does he think of the Americanification of Hawaii since its occupation?
1893, United States annexes Hawaii. What are your thoughts on that? What is your family's perspective on? Is this currently occupied land?
Actually, 1893 was the overthrow.
Okay.
The annexation was in 98.
Okay.
So it was its own republic for about like 5 years before they officially got the U.S. to annex it. Every island though had their king, and I think Big Island, Mokuokiave, was specifically allied with Great Britain.
always looks like a
and I
dinosaur
think
head.
every kingdom had their own. Was was in '98.
Okay.
So it was its own republic for about like 5 years before they officially got the U.S. to annex it. Every island though had their king, and I think Big Island, Moku Okiawe, was specific.
Yeah, Big Island always looks like a dinosaur head to me. There's that one dinosaur in The Land Before Time. This Ducky, The Land Before Time. I mean, come on. Let's see. See, we got the little horn here. Little horn here. That's looks like Ducky. Anyway.
Specifically allied with Great Britain.
Okay.
And I think every kingdom had their own nation that they were pulling from. So like Russia was involved in this, France was involved in this, and I think America had another interest in another island. But that's why King Kamehameha actually wanted to be a part of Great Britain for that like royal protection.
Everyone wants Hawaii, right? Perfect location in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, especially for the U.S.
I mean, that's why they wanted.
We kind of have a variation of that today, where there's a lot of countries all over the world, considering the United States has military base on damn near every country in the world right now, where they kind of cozy up to the United States, and if they're on good terms, then they know they're not going to be messed with. But if they're not on good terms, they know they're in danger, being destabilized.
Pearl Harbor, you know, I mean, I guess without it, like, you can't really dominate or operate in the Pacific, and that's also a big reason why Japan came after us. At some point, once they bring guns, tasers, you know, weapons, what do you think that means, you know? Like, for us, if we retaliate, we're looked at as, like, terrorists, you know?
Sure.
Like...
That's exactly it. Anytime an indigenous population fights back against whoever the current power is, they're labeled as terrorists. Happened with the slaves in the United States, happened with the Native Americans, and you're seeing it happening elsewhere in the world, like in Palestine right now.
It's a game of force, bro, for real. Like,
Does some of the Hawaiians feel like obviously you're still occupied, right?
Most people feel that way. I just think that's a subliminal reality. At the end of the day, if you did want to practice certain things about your culture and do things in a certain way, you would have to step on some federal laws. You would have to deal with some consequences by the police or whoever, you know, whatever jurisdiction is holding over that.
Yep. See, the U.S. already put them on that reserved land just so they could be like, you can't do any of your traditional stuff where you would traditionally do it. Because we're currently using that land for our own gain.
Part of the land. For most Hawaiians, you're not gonna find 100% Hawaiian. You know, most Hawaiians you find is either gonna be Chinese, Japanese, Filipino, Haoli, or whatever. You know, so like we're all mixed, and to be really Hawaiian is like to be able to like track where you're from, you know, and to know your lineage and your ancestry. And once you bury enough, to be able to like track where you're from, you know.
Jesus, this is better than my family tree.
And to know your lineage and your ancestry. And once you bury enough of your ancestors' bones here, like, you're kind of attached, you know?
Sure.
And that's where the life force is, you know? That's where the mana is.
Beyond housing, what makes it expensive to live out here as a Hawaiian?
Gas, groceries, what other words that start
milk?
with G?
We got like $9 milk gallons or what?
Yeah. Everybody shops at Costco, bro. You can't afford to not. Like,
if you take away the hotels, you decrease all the infrastructure for tourism, what jobs are the locals working out here? Or do they just tend to the land and we go back to like a communal, simple agrarian setup where people, you know, have gardens and they give to each other and barter? Where do the jobs go if you take away all the tourism?
We can't really create new industries being a part of America with American law. Like, we would have to create new laws to do different things differently. Pretty much like so much would have to change to make the industries appear or be strengthened, you know, like. Like, because most of our money is not tourism, bro. That's like a facade, bro. Like, we could survive without it. It's not like an anti-America stance. It's just a pro-Hawaii stance.
Since European contact, beginning with the arrival of Captain Cook in 1778 and through the spread of deadly diseases like smallpox, measles, and whooping cough, the native Hawaiian population was reduced by roughly 90% over the next 70 years. The native Hawaiian population was decimated and
I
not
can't believe they
interested
used
in
that
working
graphic.
sugar plantations. Groups of immigrants from China, Japan, Philippines, and later Puerto Rico and Portugal immigrated to Hawaii to work the land for 3 to 5 year contracts in a form of indentured servitude. One may call it just a better branded name for what you may know as slavery. Fast forward years later, in 1921, as Hawaii is rapidly becoming a melting pot of many cultures, the homestead program sets aside pieces of land to appease Hawaiians' ancestral claims to the land, like the one Jamin's family lives in right now. We're in the burbs, but the homestead burbs. And from my understanding, they're allowed to live here for cheap. That's the big plus here. You're getting rewarded for having ancestral ties to this land and being a certain percentage blood quantum Hawaiian. How long did it take for your family to get a homestead?
You know what? I'm not exactly sure how long it took us, but, you know, everyone in my dad's family got on the list at some point. You're kind of like, you know, a little lucky to get like something offered, you know?
This is a big crib, right? I expected like a, I don't know, maybe like an apartment or like this is a nice.
Yeah, so before anyone says like, oh, see, they're offering free housing or, you know, discounted housing for them if you have native blood. Well, he just said it's pretty difficult to get on the list, and the majority of Hawaiians live outside of Hawaii now. Like that should give you an indication of how small that list actually is.
Family house.
This is a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom.
How much do you think that goes for if this was not on the homestead? A mil?
Probably more, bro.
Actually?
Yeah. And then the land, you get like a 99-year lease or something like that, and you pay like $100 off the bat for the 99 years of living.
So every single family here has some blood tie or blood claim to like being Hawaiian and
for sure. Yeah, you can't get it otherwise. So and that's why it was one of the coolest spots to like grow up in, because like everybody who's lives here is Hawaiian style, you know? Like we have whole block parties, bro, raging till like late in the night. No cops are called, you know?
But Jamin's sister Tate had a few other thoughts worth considering. So I'm here with
Tate Kelly Ho'omalu.
Did you grow up here?
We grew up in Kahuku, which is on the North Shore, on Oahu.
Do you think you'll ever move out of Hawaii and go to the mainland? No? That was quick. Tell me why.
Because it's our home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our culture and identity is here. So there's no, we're not, at least for Native Hawaiians, this is our home, so we don't like to flock away from it. And also, too, I really don't believe in purchasing land or having land ownership outside of, like, my genealogical ties.
These damn communist Hawaiians.
Okay. In your opinion, what does it mean to be a Hawaiian?
Well, there is no opinion, to be honest.
Okay.
If you have blood, then you're Hawaiian. If you don't,
any amount of blood?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
So I was
no
asking...
percentages. I feel like our generation though is like better at like breaking those things. If you're Hawaiian, you're Hawaiian.
Property.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no blood quantum. We don't believe in that thing.
So even let's say I'm like blonde hair, blue-eyed, white, like true, I guess, Haole. Could I be Hawaiian?
If you have Hawaiian blood, you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can be a local, but not a Hawaiian, right?
Yeah. Correct.
There's the divide. Someone was saying it was just vibes, and now she's saying, oh, you need to have that ancestry.
It's similar to like, I mean, I don't know demographic wise, but it's like if you live in the hood, would you call yourself black?
No, I understand. Do you think Hawaii would be better off if it was no longer part of the United States? Would that be a good thing for Hawaii or ultimately a bad thing?
Well, I don't see it as a part of the United States.
Okay.
But
Based.
do I think it should be unoccupied? Absolutely, 100%.
When we're talking the military bases should...
Absolutely. Gone.
What does the United States of America mean to you? When you think of the USA as a country, as Hawaii's role in it, is it just like a subjugator?
I think the United States is stupid, but my main concern is that they illegally occupy Hawaii, so I don't think that they should have at least jurisdiction here in Hawaii with governance.
Okay. As a Hawaiian, what are your thoughts on the tourists that come here to Hawaii?
Don't come.
For those of you who may not know, Hawaii was never formally surrendered to the United States. The U.S. just kind of set up shop and claimed it as a state, but the monarchy was never officially like dissolved.
Come.
Yeah.
Come but leave. If you're coming, then leave. And don't buy land. And don't own land here. Simple as that.
What are your thoughts on the folks that come here, maybe buy a second, third home, a vacation home, maybe a full-on tower because I'm a billionaire and then I don't even use half it?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah. It's not your right to. And unfortunately, I think almost 50% of Hawaiians don't live in Hawaii, which is so unfortunate. And it's only going to get worse.
What if they respected the culture, respected it as you see it, and respected, assimilated into your culture rather than trying to impose their own onto, like they're your guests, let's say?
Guests leave.
Okay, mic drop.
But most people come here with the right intentions anyways, but they don't know that what they're doing is actually wrong. Now, if you are staying, then do your part in getting educated and respect culture. You're not gonna become a Hawaiian, and like you're not gonna become black when you move to Compton.
These people...
100%. I don't understand why the idea of respecting cultures, a big part of that's just learning about them and learning where you do and don't have a place is. I don't know why that's so difficult.
You know, buy a second home, they decrease the supply.
Yeah, it's just about being curious, you know. If you lack that curiosity about other human beings, I don't know what your motivation in life is. To make money? I don't know.
Of available long-term housing. Therefore, the available housing goes up in prices, and then locals can't afford to rent them.
Exactly.
And this has in turn led to Hawaiian locals to create these huge villages in the woods, living off the land and off the grid in Hawaii at whatever the cost. As I was driving past this park, I noticed a massive encampment hidden in the woods. We pulled up with some Costco pizzas and asked if we could check it out.
Queenie, where are we at right now? Before we explore the island more, I want to tell you about the sponsor that made this video possible, Delete Me. Did you know that data brokers are selling your personal info online? Google your name right now and see what pops up. Anything you wish wasn't there? I do. In this digital age with all your info publicly available, the risk of being harassed, hours of searching and deleting my now for 20% off when you go to Join Delete Me.
Pu'unoa Waianae at the small Waianae Boat Harbor.
Okay. I came down here like a year ago. It wasn't as big as it is now, I don't think, right? Has it grown last year or so?
Yes, it did.
How many people live out here?
We have over about 170.
I see a little guy over here, a few kids playing ball.
But everyone here, we all call each other family.
How long have you guys all known each other out here?
I've been here since I was 12 years old, and I'm 26 now. He's been raised here since he came out the hospital.
This little guy right here. Okay.
His mommy is pregnant with one more. So.
Okay. It looks like everyone's having a good old time out here.
It is safe. It's 100% safe here.
Yeah. So I see a little guy. I see those kids playing football. Do they go to school?
That's the number one rule. Your children reside here, and they're in the age bracket to go to school. They must go to school.
Are you giving me the tour? Okay. So I see the signs too. It seems like there's some rules.
Like we say, your children is number one.
Yeah.
Keep the safety of our children. There's no stealing allowed in our village. That's grounds will be removed.
Let's check it out. I'll shine a little flashlight.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is my pantry. My pantry consists of everything besides clothing and footwear. Linens, food, kitchenware.
Can I
everything.
see
Yeah,
it?
come inside.
All right.
Come inside.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we appreciate the hospitality. So where'd you guys get all this stuff? All donations.
After seeing countless tent towns and homeless encampments, I've never seen anything this large and organized across the entire country.
I'm impressed. This is crazy. You guys built your own society out here.
The reason that they're able to do this is because the police don't come and break up and steal all of their shit. Like, this is a great example of the level of establishment people could have, specifically homeless people, if they didn't have the police constantly coming in, destroying all their shit, and moving them elsewhere. Like, if one of these people were to go, you know, for a night in the city, I don't think anyone would be able to tell that they're homeless because they're established and they're able to take care of themselves.
Here. I had no clue this went this far back, by the way.
Not that it's an ideal living situation. I'm just saying we don't need to make things needlessly harder for people already suffering through hardships.
Holy smokes.
It goes far. What we're walking down section 1. Each section has their own captain, their own overseer.
Okay. And your role is what exactly?
I'm captain for section 1.
Okay. So let's say some crazy guy comes in here and says, or someone just coming here messing around.
Then we're gonna get together and get him out.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Have you had to do that?
Yes.
Is it pretty common?
Yeah. Well, we got some out-of-state people, and majority of us is Hawaiian. Sheba. Hi, Sheba.
She's a little shy. And we have some inspirational quotes here, too. And there's a map. You guys built a freaking map. What? Look at the border right here. I'm very impressed. This has been to quite a few spots. I've never seen anything of this size and organization. Evian, what do you think allows you guys to get along so well and maintain this level of like order?
Respect.
Yeah?
Well, I grew up believing respect. It comes in everything and anything, whether it be a rock, whether it be a person, a tree.
Also, we just made it to section 2, I noticed.
I think it's so interesting to see that when people are put in these situations, you know, with hardships and they need help, people come together, they help each other out. This is like the natural response to their situation, and it was to get together and create something. So I always hear these arguments about like, oh, it's not human nature to help each other out, or people are naturally going to be greedy and take things from each other. But as we're seeing right here, this is just one example of many of our natural default being to help each other out and form communities. Like, you don't go through like the Amazonian jungle, right, and happen upon one person who's out there living by themselves, right? Usually would encounter a tribe.
So this has got to be very valuable land, right? Built-in library right here. Wow. Okay, I never would have thought all this was hiding behind this parking lot. You have a trampoline? Let's look at that. We have the basketball court. That's epic. What's your name?
Kala. I'm one of the overseers here. She makes sure that everything is going accordingly up there for the construction-wise. I make sure the homes are being built for the people down here. Her job is to bring everybody home, you know. And that's
home out of here or home here?
Out of here to up there, and to permanent homes.
So how many people have you guys transitioned into permanent housing?
Right now, we're still in the process of building the sections. What we're gonna do is take the kupunas and the children out of here.
Okay. Kupunas are the elderly?
The elderly, yes. We have 7 sections. Okay. I am the overseer of 3. Try to keep like this.
I love how he's using Hawaiian words, knowing this guy probably doesn't know them. It's like, hey, you're here, you better learn.
Single women to the front because it's dark back here, and I try to keep them around families where they can be watched for the safety, you know? Even though we're all not cut from the same cloth, we're still family. A lot of people come out here and been houseless because of stipulations along the way that they faced. Whether it was a bump in the road that they hit and they never got back up yet, because all this time in their life they was let down a lot.
Okay. I think this place will solve their problems?
Not really. No? It's just they find it home. Me, I chose to be houseless up here because I didn't want to live under nobody's rules. Everybody getting priced out of paradise. My baby sister had to move. Her and her family moved to Las Vegas.
Yeah, I can only imagine, like, as bad as renting is already, dealing with landlords, how much more so it would be as like an indigenous person renting from a white person, how they would treat you.
Survive, because I'm paying so great out here. It's like, what, $14 minimum wage? Rent out here for a studio is like almost $2,000. But people with family working 2-3 jobs, who is there at home to raise the children?
After seeing countless locals priced out of their home in Oahu, I flew over to the island of Maui to see what has happened to the locals here nearly 1 year after wildfires destroyed 2,200 structures, caused $5.5 billion plus in damage, killed over 100 people, and displaced over 6,000 people now currently living in hotels, temporary housing, or tents on the beach. What does the future look like for people now on the streets? And are tourists coming back to Maui helping or aggravating the situation of those currently displaced?
We have made it to Lahaina. This is your first time here?
Yes, sir.
When I came here, half this joint was blocked off. It was fully burnt down. This is what stands. Roughly 1 year later, a lot of this is raised completely. Who am I here with?
This is Brian with Maui Gravel and Soil. I deliver gravel and soil to people all over Maui.
What's changed in the last year or so since the Lahaina fires?
Well, we're rebuilding Lahaina. Businesses like mine that deliver dump trucks of gravel and aggregate for construction purposes are very busy. And everybody's just trying their best to do their part to rebuild.
Are tourists welcome in Maui right now?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah? You know, tourists is where the lion's share of the money comes from. We ask that the tourists show respect for the fire victims, but that time has passed. So the tourists, of course, are welcome here on Maui. It's going to take a decade or longer to fully rebuild the town of Lahaina.
We just opened this store in the spring of last year, and it was just kind of really getting going. We were getting ramped up, and then the fires happened, and we actually didn't know if this area survived for a few days. It took a long time, and it's still really not back. As far as business. I mean, by this time in a summer season, we should be cranking everything's booked, lines out the door, which is obviously not happening. If they walked in last summer and asked me, can I book a boat tomorrow, I would laugh at them.
So right now, can I book a boat?
You could.
Okay. Brother Jay, how long you been here in Maui?
27 years, bro.
Okay. Were you here when Lahaina fires happened?
Yeah, we was here, bro. We was here. My wife's born and raised up Lahaina Luna. I'm from the other side of the island, yeah.
Where are you from before Maui?
Atlanta, Georgia.
So you have the Hawaiian accent, though.
Yeah, been out here a long time.
You're a full-on brother now.
I'm a hybrid.
What's going on here in Lahaina?
Same shit, bro. There's no water.
No drinking water?
No water in the land. There's no water in the pipes. There's no water for nothing, bro.
But I've been here for 16 years, almost my whole adult life.
As a haole, I don't know if that's a pejorative coming from me, are you welcome to come and move here? How has your experience been?
I find moving here to be a touchy subject.
Yeah? You can't hide that you're obviously not Hawaiian.
By the way, haole is the Hawaiian word they use for white people. The gringos, the guayalaos.
No, I'm embarrassingly white.
Sure.
In general,
Yeah.
with that question, I find that if one comes out here with a heart of respect and knowing that this land has a lot of history, a lot of mistrust, a lot of tragedy, you don't come out here approaching it like Disneyland.
Sure.
You come out here approaching it with respect and wanting to learn and wanting to value the land and the culture, then you don't have a problem.
Can you explain your tattoo on your face? That thing looks pretty cool.
So this is our family. When I was brought over and brought into the Hawaii Kingdom, it was through a family in Molokai. We started living the kahēas and living the life and learning and educating. And so really this is just our family genealogy. It's the watermen of Molokai.
What are your thoughts on brothers not from here or maybe just like from California getting a tattoo of like a turtle in Hawaiian fashion?
I don't give a fuck what they do.
Okay.
I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Each his own journey, bro. Each his own journey.
How important is tourism to the economy, holistically?
Exceedingly important. I say it to people all the time. Thank you for coming. Thank you for visiting us. We all want to live and eat here. And to live and eat here, many of us rely on tourism as an industry, for better or for worse.
Okay. Did you feel okay coming here to Maui 1 year later after the fire, or was there some weirdness or some hesitation?
We never thought of anything. We didn't hesitate. We just decided to come.
How's your experience been?
It's been awesome.
Beautiful out here, yeah?
Yeah, oh, very.
But it's expensive.
Well, are you Hawaiian? I'm Mexican. I have a Hawaiian family that call me their Hanai-san.
Okay.
So that's why I have.
Oh, yo, can we see it?
They call me their adopted son, so I'm on the family portrait.
This is what we want to see, David. I want to see people here feeling welcome to come back, say what's up. All right, so right ahead of us, we see the death of what once was Lahaina and the new Lahaina, whatever that will look like. We have straight ahead of us, Bank of Hawaii, Fork and Salad coming soon, Lahaina Cannery. It looks like they're gonna turn this place into something completely not like what it once was. I think there's going to be an entirely new Lahaina. While Maui was years away from rebuilding what once was, I met up with David's uncle, Walter, a Hawaiian OG descended from royal blood, to hear his thoughts on the rapid change of Hawaii in his lifetime, the effects of tourism on the island, and the seemingly inevitable fading of the Hawaiian culture. He also just happens to be on the FBI watch list for exposing some dark truths in the documentaries he made about the islands in his free time.
Our view of Maui is not the same anymore. It's not the same anymore. I remember when Maui never had any traffic lights. I remember when the first traffic lights in Kahului, there was one light up in Wailuku town. And then all of a sudden, traffic lights came from all over. When it was just stop signs, people used to stop at the sign and wave to their friend across at the other stop sign and tell them, hey, you know what? My daughter's got a birthday party Friday. You guys want to come? Yeah. And the other guy on the other stop sign would say, oh, I can come too. Yeah, you can come too. And that's how Maui was, everybody was friends. Everybody had aloha. Now that got the traffic lights, get 3 cars running through the red light.
I may have done that on accident today. On accident.
What is this world coming to? No, we're not mad at the people that came.
Like telling this heartbreaking story about yeah, it used to be like this culturally, and I really miss it. It's really sad. And he's like, yeah, I did that same thing today.
It's just the change that this island, because I believe the Hawaiians left.
We're gonna come back, and we're gonna kidnap you if you're down. Okay. Unc, we just had an hour-plus drive to get here. Where are we at? Tell me about this place.
This place is called Kahiki Nui.
When did you end up with this land?
Back in the 1990 something, but this land consists of 20,000 acres.
Whoa.
And this is Hawaiian homeland. Right.
How much do you think this would sell for on the market?
Priceless.
Priceless?
Right.
$1 billion view, in my opinion.
Right.
Billion with a B. And speaking of billionaires, Oprah lives out here somewhere, right?
Yeah, in Ulupalakua.
I imagine she paid a lot more than you did to live here, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'm honored and I'm privileged to be here.
You also have a crazy story.
It's wild to hear that from him because if you saw earlier in the video, this guy said he was a descendant of a Hawaiian royalty. So if he actually is in the royal family, it's wild that he was able to purchase this land back, as I guess would be his
It's right on your dad's side too, right?
Yeah, he had some land up in Waihe, and the plantation owner, sugar plantation, needed the land. They tried to convince him that he should move out so many times, and he wouldn't do it. Finally, they accused him of having
leprosy.
Okay. And they shipped him to the island of Molokai. And I know that he wasn't the only one.
And he didn't even have leprosy?
When he died, the autopsy showed no signs of leprosy.
So that was a tactic, what Americans were using to steal land from?
To get the land.
Okay.
He died in the leprosy colony with no leprosy.
Taken from his family, his friends. Okay.
It's not easy to come out here and build. And
Did you build this house right here?
Yeah.
Bare hands?
Yeah.
Dang. Can we see the guns?
Guns?
Yeah. Let's say the average Hawaiian. Are they going to end up on the mainland just getting driven out, or are they going to end up on the streets out here? There's only so much land and...
You know, the Department of Hawaiian Homes, they should address the problem. Why people are leaving? Why are people leaving? And they got so much land. There's so much land, like 20,000 acres over here. And only 20 of us got homes. Why don't they let more?
When did you start noticing millionaires and billionaires coming in here and buying second homes, vacation homes, turning them into Airbnbs, and now forcing property taxes to go up that they can't afford
Well, I
to pay?
noticed it back in the late 60s and the early 70s.
Okay.
You know, the winter birds are coming in. If we didn't welcome foreigners, I wouldn't have my wife.
I see. There she is. 50 years of happy marriage, right?
51 years.
So he built this with his bare hands, for context. We're at the bed, double bunk bed.
Yeah, for the kids.
It's beautiful. It's kind of, it's so quiet out here. It gets me. I haven't been to such a quiet, no noise pollution, no light pollution, no pollution at all. You told me Oprah lives around here. Do you think there's that sort of aloha I give to you and you give back to me mentality when it comes to like the ultra rich and some of these people building resorts?
Honestly, they got money to throw away.
Yeah.
And so they keep buying and buying and buying. And that's their privilege. So you can't stop them from doing it. You can help so many people, bro.
I mean, I don't have Oprah money or anything like that, but I think the perspectives alone have value.
If my father can do, then I can do. Whatever he can do, I can do. You know, so your job is to let people know that they can do. I listen to the voice of my ancestors. They cry out to me, return to the land of Kahiki Nui. Ualohe au I nā leo o nā kupuna. Ka hea la kou I au. E ho I oe I Kahiki Nui. Ka aina o kou kupuna. E ho I oe I Kahiki Nui. Ka aina o kua loa. A ke akua. Make au e nana I kou maka. When I first came to the land out here, I came out here and I was camping on the grass. And in the middle of the night, an owl came in, perched himself right on my shoulders. The thing that came to my mind was, if this is the owl's home and I'm in his home, then he's welcoming me home. And that night I also wrote that song.
Major shout out to Uncle Walter, David, and Jamin. Go subscribe to David and Jamin to learn more about the culture of Hawaii as they start their new YouTube channel, and check out Walter's documentaries below. Thanks for watching.
Let's see if we can find a lengthier video here.
But if Hawaii is the 50th...
This channel is part of the History Hit Network.
The American agenda tonight, a most significant presidential apology. At the White House yesterday, President Clinton signed a formal letter of apology to the people of Hawaii. He was apologizing on behalf of the U.S. government for the government's involvement 100 years ago in removing the independent Hawaiian monarchy by force. And
oh, what a fucking apology, because they're still a state.
On the agenda tonight, Hawaiian identity.
What
Native
good
Hawaiians who say, give us back our country. The agenda tonight, Hawaiian identity. Native Hawaiians who say, give us back our country.
Yep.
In touristic Hawaii, hundreds of people demonstrate and a president apologizes. The reason? The United States government, that considers Hawaii the 50th state of the Union, has in fact admitted that a century ago it committed an abuse.
An abuse.
In 1993, the U.S. government passed a law. This was approved by the Congress, the Senate, and ultimately signed into law by President Clinton. And this was a confession, flat out. Public Law 103-150 was a confession. And in that confession, the United States admitted to all sorts of crimes, and it further admitted that the Hawaiian nation never relinquished its rights.
Damn, this guy pulled out the facts. He knows he's going after them. He's gonna pull up on them.
But if Hawaii is the 50th state of the Union since 1959, why is it that in 1993, President Bill Clinton apologized for the usurpation the original inhabitants of the archipelago were victims of? To understand this situation,
it's wild that he put out an apology just because of the public sentiment going a certain way in terms of abuses of power and imperialism. Because now you could have this conversation with anyone today and they'll say, oh, it's okay, we already apologized for it, so we don't need to do anything else.
let's do some history. Hawaii is an archipelago formed by 8 islands, situated in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. They were probably populated by immigrants from faraway lands. They created a socially and politically advanced society.
Native Hawaiians are Polynesians. They come from a land they call Kahiki, which is the homeland, and many believe that to be Tahiti or the Marquesas. And perhaps we're here as early as 100 BC, perhaps a little bit later than that. Two-way voyaging continued for many centuries, and then by about the 12th or 13th century, Hawaiians were living here pretty much on their own and developing a much more stratified society.
It's interesting that she mentions that, because there's actually solid evidence that was found recently that the Pacific Islanders actually were the first ones to really contact the native peoples of the Americas. And the evidence for that is that all types of potatoes are native to Peru. Now, places like China, they have, all kinds of different potatoes. And the only way they could have gotten that is by trading with other Pacific Islanders, which China was known to actively do throughout the course of its history. Same for Peru having limes. Limes originate originally from Vietnam, so they could only have had those if they were traded far earlier.
And that led to the development of different island kingdoms here amongst the chain. So you had a kingdom of Kauai, a kingdom of Oahu, kingdom of Maui, and of Hawaii Island.
Its founding king, Kamehameha the Great, unified the societies of the archipelago. Their soil began to yield food for the inhabitants of Hawaii. However, the Hawaiian kingdom would not be alone for long. By the same sea from where the original inhabitants of Hawaii came from, visitors from other lands would arrive.
If you love history, then you'll love History Hit. Our extensive library of documentary features everything from the ancient origins of our earliest ancestors to the daring mission to sink
self-plug.
Contact with foreigners of European or American descent comes in 1778 with the arrival of Captain Cook. It is speculated that there may have been other encounters prior to that, but it's not documented.
Captain James Cook, a British explorer and sailor, established contact with the inhabitants of Hawaii. In 1794, the British explorer George Vancouver gave the court of King Kamehameha a Union Jack as a token of friendship from King George III. The Hawaiian kingdom added the Union Jack to its own flag as an act of recognition for the gesture of British friendship. In spite of the foreign presence in Hawaii, mainly Britain at the time, as well as other ethnic groups, King Kamehameha gave his kingdom its own identity. He gained international recognition.
In 1843, the Kingdom of Hawaii was indeed recognized as an independent nation-state, as a member of the family of nations, through treaties with the United States, Great Britain, and France, and I believe about 20 other nations of Europe. And this was meant to secure the sovereignty of the nation through those treaty agreements that were then made. And so from that point on, 1843, the Kingdom of Hawaii is indeed recognized as an independent nation-state.
So legally in the Western world, they are also recognized as an independent state. That still hasn't changed. It's just nobody's challenged the U.S.'s usurpation of their sovereignty.
As the monarch consolidated the archipelago as a sovereign state, the Kingdom of Hawaii also created a society of citizens with its own identity, an independent state.
In the 19th century, the term Hawaiian was an indicator of citizenship or membership to the Hawaiian Kingdom, which throughout the 19th century was an independent country, independent state. Beginning in 1843, the Hawaiian Kingdom was actually the first non-European territory in the world to become an independent and recognized state.
As a sign of recognition of Hawaii's independence, several members of the Hawaiian royal family travel all over the world on official visits. They were welcomed by kingdoms and republics as the true representatives of a sovereign kingdom. In the meantime, Western immigrants continued to arrive in Hawaii. By the start of the 19th century, a few American settlers were already living in the archipelago.
So as the American settler population continued to grow, their interest in business continued to grow. They oftentimes were pressuring the monarchs, pressuring the government to develop things, or for the government to develop and the economy to develop in a way that these settlers would find most comfortable.
A group of settlers, mainly American, formed an organization of landowners. They controlled the production of sugarcane. Their economic power ensured that their influence in the affairs of the kingdom increased.
The landlords again.
So when we get to 1893, by that time, these foreign settlers, many of them who were invested in the plantation economy, were very strong in their opinions about how the government should continue. And when Liliuokalani, who was the Queen of Hawaii in 1893, when she proposed to bring forward a new constitution, a group of 13 businessmen, calling themselves the Annexation Club and the Committee of Safety, they took it upon themselves to overthrow the Queen, or to remove her from the government. And they did this in conjunction, or with the approval, it would seem, of the U.S. Minister to the Hawaiian Kingdom, Minister Stevens. And so he was totally misrepresenting his position by essentially conspiring with this group to take over the Queen's government.
In the Constitution, Queen Liliuokalani only gave the right to vote to those citizens who were considered natives of Hawaii. The settlers feared that they may lose their political and economic power. On the 17th of January 1893, U.S. troops landed in Hawaii, arguing that they were there to protect the rights of the settlers. Queen Liliuokalani was arrested and taken to the royal palace of Lalani. She was forced to abdicate because of the military superiority of the invaders. The conspirators took advantage of the end of the monarchy to take control of the archipelago. They created the so-called Republic of Hawaii. However, the inhabitants of the islands did not accept such imposition and took action.
This is when the people of Hawaii gather together in a couple of huis or groups that protest against annexation with a petition asking that the United States recognize that the people of Hawaii who have signed this petition do not want to be a part of the United States, do not wish to be annexed. And we believe that some 38,000 people in total signed these petitions out of a Native Hawaiian population that was close to 40,000.
The petition.
And we believe that some 38,000 people in total signed these petitions out of a Native Hawaiian population
we can't even
that
have
was close to 40,000.
of our voters turn out in an election in the United States.
The petition did not succeed. On the 12th of August 1898, in a ceremony that took place in front of the Lalani Palace, the old residence of the Hawaiian monarchs, the flag of the kingdom was taken down, an American flag was raised. The annexation of Hawaii brought a process of Americanization in the local society. This process included the imposition of an educational system that marginalized the values of the local population. The local language was replaced by that of the settlers.
In 1896, under the authority of the Republic of Hawaii, a law was passed that stated that all public school instruction must take place in English. So they didn't outright ban Hawaiian, but in effect they did, because they said to everyone, you must learn English, you must use English, and only English in your schools. And so
it's effectively the same thing what they did with all the native schools over here in the mainland in an effort to kind of eradicate culture, and we lost a lot of languages because of it.
So parents became much more reluctant to use Hawaiian language in their homes, and certainly in the schools, many children were reprimanded for using Hawaiian language when they were expected to be using English.
Yep,
is when the U.S.
took American playbook for
over our education. There it went. They took our language. They took our land. They took our identity, and they nearly succeeded in taking our will to live.
At the same time, the United States passed a law which determined who was and who was not a Hawaiian.
Around 1920, you start to see this legislation being passed in U.S. Congress that kind of begins to define legally through U.S. law what is considered a Native Hawaiian. In that bill, U.S. congressional law, you have, for the first time, this understanding of blood quantum, that Native Hawaiians, right, are legally defined as those that possess half native blood, right, or 50% native blood. So you can really start to see American racial logic being institutionalized within Hawaii. And
that's wild, because that means at a certain point, if they start mixing with other populations, then no one would be true Hawaiian anymore. And I'm sure that's what they wanted. I'm sure that's the end goal of this particular law.
And that lasts for a very long time, even till this day, right? These terms, Native Hawaiian or Hawaiian, are now defined through U.S. law within the context of blood quantum.
1/3. Or at least until there's such a small population of Hawaiians left, they're just going to argue that it's not relevant anymore.
The second of Trump is still Hawaiian. But they said, oh, according to their law, you have to have 50%. That's bullhead. Yeah. They can get lost. We don't need them coming over here and telling us what to do and what not to do. So, as far as blood quantum is concerned, I'd say they committed genocide.
Yeah.
Big time. Big time.
Said it.
This process of Americanization and the
gas, groceries, and genocide.
imposition of rules that were alien to the local culture led to the violation of native sacred land.
That place they call Walmart on Keamoku Street and Makaloa Street, it just happened that my family had the ownership papers to 8.5 acres, and that's where they put their store on. They found 66 sets of bones that were buried on that property grounds. And it took 7 years to get through all the mitigations and all whatever for us to put the bones back in the ground. And all we're trying to do is respect our own ancestors. And you know what would be really interesting? If some of us went up to Punch Bowl, where the American veterans are buried, and go up there and tear out some of those graves and put up a fancy building.
The United States did not settle for the annexation of Hawaii, the suppression of the local language and the desecration of hallowed lands. They wanted statehood. They wanted to turn Hawaii into a new state of the Union. On the 12th of March, 1959, the U.S. Congress overwhelmingly voted in favor of statehood, so Hawaii became the...
What do the senators from Hawaii look like? Senator. Oh, Brian Schatz the bed, and Masi Hirono. And she's Japanese. So no Hawaiian representation. Let's see. Hawaiian congressman. Ed Case. Another white man. Bill Tokuda. Japanese.
50th State of the Union.
It's made official at the White House. President Eisenhower congratulates the new congressional representatives of Hawaii before the simple ceremonies that remake the geography of the United States, adding the 50th and southernmost state with a land area of 6,500 miles and a population of 600,000.
Hawaii becomes a state of the United States in 1959. Of course, if annexation was illegal and overthrow was illegal, then many believe statehood is also an illegal event.
Yeah.
So you certainly continue to have debate.
But when does the United States follow its own laws? I mean, we're seeing that plenty this year. No one's following the Constitution
Here in Hawaii as to whether or not Hawaii is a state. But officially, according to the United States, in 1959.
It is not surprising then that
the Make America Great Again idea, this is it right here. Basically breaking our own laws for personal gain.
President Bill Clinton sanctioned a law whereby his government apologized for the dispossession the local population had been victims of. The law recognized that the people of Hawaii had not voluntarily relinquished their rights, nor had they accepted the abolition of their kingdom.
So give it back.
You don't need to be a lawyer really, to understand. If the criminal admits to committing a crime against you and further admits that you never relinquished your rights, i.e. your property was stolen and you never relinquished your rights to the property, you don't need to be a lawyer to understand that according to that the Hawaiians have one of the best claims, if not the best claim, for independence once again.
So that bill really should have apologized to the national population. But that wordage of saying national population would kind of throw off, right, the political intent of that bill, to kind of sidestep, right, or kind of erase that history that it was a kingdom.
Why did the Americans do it? That was the first question I asked when I heard about the apology bill. It was an intent to defraud the Hawaiian nation, the Hawaiian people even further.
The apology bill.
It's wild. I feel like every veteran I meet is either the most patriotic, conservative guy you've ever met, or they're the most radical leftist you've ever talked to.
The bill was followed by several resolutions proposed by a senator for Hawaii, Daniel Akaka, to be implemented by the year 2000. His intention was to pass a law that would give Native Hawaiians federal recognition. The same strategy was used for the Native Americans.
What did I tell you?
In 2009, Congress passed the so-called Native Hawaiian Government Reorganization Act, also known as the Akaka Law. According to this law, the descendants of the original inhabitants of the archipelago could form a government, but within the U.S. federal structure. They could not reclaim the rights they had lost before the overthrow of the monarchy in 1893, or their status of sovereign nation.
It's the reservation
And
system.
I believe the people that were involved in the Akaka bill that's trying to continue to deprive us were absolutely on the track of imposterating our claims. And at the end of it all, first of all, naming us Native Hawaiians, which we're not Native, we nationals, okay? So imposteration started, not knowing this. Then the imposteration for Native Hawaiians were coming. And then the next step would be that the imposteration was that they now becoming the Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Asian Foundation. And most of our people don't know this yet.
We're on a different boat here. A lot of people like to compare us with the American Indian, per se. Well, in our situation, we're fortunate enough to have a government that actually had the treaties with the U.S. that actually have never been dissolved. So,
But they do get disrespected. I mean, these tribes also have these treaties, and they're overstepped constantly.
If anything, it'll show America's true colors, if they want to be a good big brother or not.
Like, if push comes to shove and the United States finds some big value of doing something in some of the land they designated towards them, they're just going to do it. They're not going to...
For more than a century, the United States has been working to establish the image of Hawaii as a tourist destination. Behind a facade of paradise hides a history of usurpation and dispossession. This history has given rise to several pro-sovereignty movements which have demanded their right to be an independent nation.
Captain America don't need a sweatshirt, but you met your match. Remember all the stolen lands, this Hawaiian Superman is wanting it back. Give back the land, Captain America. Give back the land, Captain America. Give back the land, Captain America. It's our land! It's our land! Governed by your policies, all we want is sovereignty. It's so hard to pay rent. This is for the aunties sleeping under palm trees and living in tents. It's a shame Hawaiian.
Pro-sovereignty movement activists have started a process to recover their language and art. At the same time, universities are researching the history of Hawaii by dusting up old newspapers from the 19th century, all written in the local language. The Apology Bill strengthened the pro-sovereignty movements. they started to explore the possibility to recover their own government, the one that was in place before the annexation to the US in 1893. The lawful Hawaiian government is part of that process.
My name is Henry Noah. Okay, I'm the elected Prime Minister for the reinstated lawful Hawaiian government. The lawful Hawaiian government was formed March 13, 1999, and it actually reinstated the former government offices that was in existence prior to January 17, 1893, the day that we got overthrown. Our government was overthrown. So what has happened since that day till now is that basically there was actions taken by the conspirators, who are the United States government, to try to justify or even validate their actual existence here and their authority that they exercise here in Hawaii.
The lawful Hawaiian government, which has been in place for more than a decade, is not legally recognized by the United States. However, it is not simply a symbolic gesture of sovereignty, but it has its own structure. It legislates and governs on the basis of strict rules.
We have a House of Nobles, a House of Representatives, and an executive branch, which includes Prime Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of the Interior, and the Minister of the Treasury. Currently, we are engaging in land reclamations.
We realize that we would have to be able to get our people, to unite under this government. So we've done a lot of educational programs to get our own people to understand. Listen, the government still exists. It's been in abeyance. It's been absent all these years. All we needed to do was put it back, bring back the government, which is what we are able to accomplish. The second thing that we educate our people to is now we need to put power to the government. And the only way that can happen is if we as a people participate in that government and begin to build the government, the functional bodies of that government, the executive, the legislative, the judicial branches, all of the departments that come to function a government has to be reset, of which we have actually accomplished those things.
In its annual convention, known in the local language as Manukau Kanawai, the lawful Hawaiian government and delegates from all the islands got together to discuss issues related to land devolution, the structure of its government, and to appoint new authorities.
In January 1893, our government was removed. On March 13, 1999, we, the Kanaka Maoli people from across the entire island chain, came together on Oahu, island of Oahu, and we initiated a process to reinstate the former offices of that government.
It's been a long process, so from my understanding, the Hawaiian government has actually, the reinstated lawful Hawaiian government, has progressed to a point where now things are going to start to come to exist.
Who gave us that right? It's inherent in every Kanaka Maoli, and it's an obligation on that individual's part to fix an injustice, to understand who you are, and you have the perfect right to step forward and try to fulfill that obligation.
We've been talking about how we're going to do things, but now we're applying ideas that we've been bringing up at the table at the Manukau Kanawais for the last 38 conventions, and it's going to...
I want to see if there's anything that they passed or submitted recently that has affected any local laws in Hawaii. Mhm. Looks like in 2018 they filed a lawsuit against President Trump for the occupation of the Hawaiian Islands. Wonder if there was any response from the US. Let's just read an excerpt from it. As an internationally wrongful act, all states shall not recognize as a situation created by a serious breach within the meaning of Article 40, nor render aid or assistance in maintaining that situation. Responsibility of States for Internationally Wrongful Acts, 2001. Article 40 provides that a breach of such an obligation is serious if it involves a gross or systemic failure by the responsible state to fulfill the obligation. By letter to the United States President Donald John Trump, dated 5th of July 2018. The Hawaiian Kingdom gave notice of claim and invoked responsibility of the United States in accordance with Article 43 for a serious breach of obligation to comply with international humanitarian law. But yeah, doesn't look like the U.S. facilitated any kind of response.
Pan out pretty good, I think.
It's been a long time coming to get to this point where we're at today, where we can actually reclaim land and issue awards. We did a lot of preparations to get to this point, and now that we're actually here, it's a little overwhelming, exciting.
We have built a case that it's hard to argue with, so we know we're dealing with the de facto government backed by the United States, and so we're up against some heavy hitters, we know that. So our case has to be solid.
There has never been a time that I know in our history that we have not worked to regain what is rightfully ours. Say this to all those that have dedicated their time. Mahalo. Because you cannot get a nation if you don't put the work into it. We're at that stage where tomorrow, I believe, and this weekend, we're going to take some historical steps.
We have legislated resolutions in our Constitution. We brought our Constitution to modernity from 1893, and brought it forward to modernize it. That was archaic. A lot of the language was archaic. We had to modernize it, first of all, so we did as little as possible. That's another thing that happened, was that the legislators who were elected were charged with creating a constitutional convention in the year 2000. One, to modernize the Constitution, and two, really to decide what style of government to implement.
The lawful Hawaiian government's legislative branch is divided into 7 districts. Each one has a representative and a noble, according to the ancient traditions of the archipelago. In this branch, young and old take part without distinction.
So the way I look at it is being ahead of the curve, in a sense. There are a few other members of the government itself that may be my age or younger. However, I guess what it comes down to is, well, having been called old for my age for some time. I guess I know there's a lot of folks my age who have a basic understanding of the issue. I mean, I guess in a sense I find myself ahead of the curve in comprehending the moral obligation that accompanies, the historic facts.
Now you're going to see more of our generation getting involved with Olelo Hawaii and moving our culture and getting involved with the politics, just in different pathways, I think. And then on the flip side, I think outside of the Native Hawaiians, within our education and how they view us, it has become more of a sport, I think. And Hawaii is a cool place to come and work for 2 years and get their thrills, and then they move on, kind of.
Why I'm doing what I'm doing here today, and this is the day we waited for a long, long time, and we've always said it only on God's time will we do this. Well, today is God's time, where we're gonna put the people back on the land. It's this very spot, 13 years ago, Uncle Robert and I sat in his car, and we asked God to help us. And the rest, our Prime Minister at that time was organizer of our hui. Everybody was waiting for us to bring one Kanaka to that meeting. This is when we was gonna put the government together. And we asked God, right here at this very spot where we sit, help us, help us. Why am I so elated today? So in Hawaiian, we say the word for being elated is ha'ole. Ha'ole nui, happy, very, very happy. Because we're getting to put our people back on the land that the U.S. had come through deceit or whatever you call it, took our people and drove us to be destitute.
And the problem that we're having is that they're not fulfilling their obligation. They're continuing to ignore, deny us. And that's one of the most difficult things when we're the victims of this hypocrisy, but the people on the payroll continue denying us access to our lands that they say they gave us all back, which we never received yet, to the monies that they say they're giving us, we don't even receive. And this has been going on for 120 years.
Hawaiian nationals know that there is a process that we're conducting or we're providing to reclaim lands, national lands.
During the Lawful Hawaiian Government's convention, Prime Minister Henry Noah gave land titles to groups of 10 people. For them, that simple ceremony means the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. Because such land is situated in an area affected by volcanic activity, in fact, it does not belong to anyone. It is barren land where 10 settlers and their families will build up their future.
Yes, sir, no man, change your plans. Don't wanna be a fireman. I wanna get
demonstrating to them that this is our claim to our land and that we decide what happens on our land. Yeah. Right? Again, 1, 2, 3, oh. 1, 2, 3.
I finally see what I want to see. You gave me what I needed, something to believe in, for a feast of divorce, see no strings attached. Now I got a second chance.
Well, now we have, okay, a land. So instead of going far up the hill, miles away from home, now we can just walk out here and home.
E te mea te hau muoroa. Ane o tō te atua no te hapatauturi a tātou te taimi. Maururu, maururu roa. Amen. Amen.
Well, this one lot, this is for the community center where the community can meet. You know, you can come and have the kupuna, the elders do crafts, have the younger ones learn etiquette, you know, Hawaiian etiquette, learn how to make medicines, learn how to do medical techniques, learn language, skills. And you know, anything that the community needs, any kind of education as a whole, they can come to this hotspot. And then of course, tourists who are walking through, they can always visit. Anybody who wants to know, they're welcome to come.
One of the activities of the lawful Hawaiian government is poverty relief. Hawaii's image of prosperity, with its luxurious shops and expensive cars in the most expensive state of the United States, exists in stark contrast with the poverty in which hundreds of people live. The 2010 census found that 33% of families with children under 5 years of age live in a state of poverty. The postcard image of Hawaii contradicts the everyday reality of the inhabitants of the archipelago.
And what you see here around me is a homeless village that was established in 2009. This is adjacent to Waianae Pokai Bay Boat Harbor. The boat harbor is right here. This campsite is right here. What these people have been able to do is stay out of the public parks, which their presence in occupying public parks seems to interfere with the tourists. And the government does not like interference with cash flow in any sort. So this area here is called Pokai Bay. And we're going into the bushes adjacent to the harbor. This, I heard that this is where a majority of the homeless people that got ousted from the beaches have relocated to this area here. We've had a history of these homeless people. It has been increasing, large numbers.
I came here in 2010. In 2009 is actually when we became houseless. I will not say homeless because we are not homeless. Hawaii is our home, this Aina is our home. We became houseless in 2009. As a greenhorn addict, only knew how to go camping, and that's what I took. And from there, we hit recession back in 2009. 7 incomes, 5 loss, couldn't continue our home, gave up our home back then. We began living amongst the houseless people, and we learned a lot. And then from there, we got swept in at Ulihava back in March 2010. Most of these people that's here, started from here, from this camp going that way, have been here for a while. Where this tree is, right here, this berry tree is, there's an opailua in there, but they're cleaning up. They're trying to clean up and stuff, yeah. A lot of us we understand that we are going to get swept, so a lot of us are doing spring cleaning right now.
So the people who come down and do the sweep and sweep everybody out of here, is it police department or the sheriff's department?
Basically what happens is, okay, from what we understand and what was told to me was that the state is not in the business to do sweeps. But the state will go ahead, because of the lease, they have to go ahead and do a lot of the what is required by law, which is to clean out the land before they lease it. Right now, if they were to sweep us, nobody has nowhere to go. We don't know where to go. The next square,
Mocha, to the mountains.
to the mountains.
But the denial of their rights, the poverty and the marginalization under which they live are not the only problems faced by Hawaiians. There is a threat that hangs above their heads that puts in jeopardy their very existence: war. For the United States, Hawaii has not only been an archipelago with commercial and economic interests. These islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean are part of its strategic military structure.
On August 16th, 1898, 4 days after Hawaii became a part of our nation, the United States Army became an important part of the island community. Since then, under the impact of 2 world wars and the Korean conflict, the Army in Hawaii has expanded enormously. Today, the Hawaiian Islands represent a multi-million-dollar base of operations for American defense forces in the Pacific Ocean area.
In fact, the United States discovered the strategic and military importance of Hawaii long before its settlers managed to get it annexed in 1893.
Major General John Schofield arrived on Oahu in 1872. His mission was to find a military use for the island's seaports.
John Schofield. Didn't he do something else? So he was just a Civil War general for the Union, I guess.
General Schofield found the seaports were perfect for the growing United States Navy, and that the land between the Waianae and Ko'olau mountain ranges was ideal for ground forces.
The American-Spanish War for the control of Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines sped up the annexation. For the Americans, Hawaii was a crucial stronghold for its military campaign. Pearl Harbor, built in 1900, became the main United States naval base in the Pacific. During the Second World War, on the morning of the 7th of December 1941, the Japanese Air Force exposed the vulnerability of Hawaii.
I was 9 years old when the Pearl Harbor happened, when Japan came by and bombed Pearl Harbor. That was a very memorable day for me, particularly. I didn't find out the destruction after everything was said and done, where when I went home to my grandparents' home, I seen all the holes in the roof where the planes came over and strafed.
The United States military presence in Hawaii constitutes a constant danger for the very existence of the archipelago.
Hawaii is a military outpost.
The mere fact that the United States has possession of this territory and are using it for military operations puts the average person at risk, especially the native population there, right? So, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I think it was 2017 or so, there was a warning that there was like a nuclear missile coming from North Korea or something to hit Hawaii, and everyone thought that was a legitimate threat. But I guess somebody like accidentally hit the warning button or something about on it. But you know, the threat is real. It's strategically valuable, and it just makes them a target.
It's got every branch of the U.S. military, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and there are unknown amounts of nuclear weapons. You've got nuclear submarines, you've got nuclear aircraft carriers, you've got nuclear silos with intercontinental ballistic missiles. Those missiles are directed at targets all around the world. There are literally billions of people under threat from the missiles that are based here in Hawaii. Literally, right here is Pacific Command, which is one of the keystones, one of the major bulwarks of the American empire. The Pacific Command, in its own mind, has jurisdiction over half of the world. This includes China, Russia, Asia, most all of the Pacific, South America, Central America. This is a huge section of the human population that has nuclear missiles and nuclear weapons that are directed at them from Hawaii. If we were to enter into a third world war, and if nuclear weapons are launched, there is absolutely no doubt whatsoever that Hawaii will be majorly targeted by America's enemies, specifically China and Russia, directed at Hawaii because of American presence. But it's a significant number, and rest assured, there's no question that if there is a nuclear war and missiles are sent here, there will be so many missiles that there will be nothing left of Hawaii.
The importance of the American war machinery in Hawaii is not only strategic. In reality, the economy of Hawaii depends a great deal on the United States military structure. According to the Rand Institute of Defense Studies, the military economy of Hawaii constitutes at least 18% of its gross domestic product, more than $12 billion a year.
Military-industrial complex is the #1 economy here in Hawaii, entity of our economy. Everybody thinks tourism is #1, but I believe that the military-industrial complex is actually at the top, if not the two tied together. So that's what drives our economy. So it's very difficult to even have the discussion about withdrawing some of that military presence because our economy is so dependent upon it for so many people.
The United States takes advantage of valleys, mountains, and seas to use them as a training camp for its troops. At the same time, the United States offers its Hawaiians enclave for the training of foreign troops. The American military presence in Hawaii has caused serious damage to the environment of the islands.
Yeah, I can imagine.
According to the Pacific Health Dialogue, there are 768 contaminated sites in Hawaii. This contamination is caused mainly by the deterioration of ammunition, the presence of mercury, lead, napalm, radioactive rubbish, and radioactive fuels. In 2008, Colonel Howard Killian admitted that there was enriched uranium in Hawaii, but he argued that there was no danger for the population of the archipelago.
They always say,
Hawaiians are against the U.S. military presence because it goes against the desire to remain neutral. They demand independence and also the withdrawal of the military from the islands.
well, Hassan is live now. I'm going to move us over to there. All myself of us. I'll give an anecdotal story if this ever comes up again about Pacific Islanders. yeah, it's a topic that's very near and dear to me and special, considering how many of them I've grown up with and have cared for in medical capacity. So let's move over there, guys. Thanks for watching whenever you're watching.